Morning, everyone, and I'd like to thank Whelan Ware for asking me to say a few words here this morning, and I'm more than glad to do so. I think that if anyone is under any doubt or any illusions regarding from Glenties down to Wexford, from Listowel up into Meath and all the way across the Midlands, have informed themselves and engaged in this process, they could be under no doubts anymore after this website is launched today, because it will be a fabulous resource for people and families who feel themselves isolated and feeling that they're on their own in a desperate way against really what is a corporate charge on rural Ireland. And when I say rural Ireland, I mean our communities everywhere. I mean, sometimes my colleagues in Dublin-based colleagues, some of them, say things as ridiculous, and I mean this at the highest level of government, say things as ridiculous as, but we need to keep the lights on, John. Or we're going to go back to the tilly lamp. Now, I mean, I have been accused of being daft, mischievous, ill-informed, and ridiculous. And that's just from my own colleague, Pat Rabbitt, alone. That's not from the wind industry. Now, I have a confession to make that doesn't suit Henry. I came to this process about 3 years ago in favour of the wind farms. I came to this process and started out, so I said, what are you on about? We have to build the power line from Rathnesca to Ballyragget. Jesus, get a grip. We have to have energy. We have to support jobs. They told me. I met EirGrid dozens of times, and they assured me it was one line. One 110 line from Rathnesca, Portlaoise, down to Ballyragget, because otherwise there would be no jobs in Kilkenny. The Glanbia plant would close down without the energy. I went back to the lads and said, you're raving. We have to support this. I couldn't object to this. It would be irresponsible. But thanks to the work of the community, I have to say, and people, like, when I say ordinary people, like families, my neighbours, they went behind the scenes. They dug deep into the reports. They found out that it wasn't one line from Ballyragget to Rathnesca. It was a super energy hub called a substation, to mislead us, with capacity for 17 power lines. And it had nothing to do with the Glanbia plant, which isn't even on the grid because it has its own energy source. So this is, at first I went like, there's no way they'd stuff me like that. I went back to EirGrid. There's no way they'd stitch me up. But now I can tell you for certain, I wouldn't believe the Lord's Prayer out of an EirGrid executive. At an EirGrid on board Penala planning hearing. And the inspector from on board Penala said to them, and there were 21 of them, barristers and engineers. And he said, would you not underground the last 1.5 kilometres of the line, just for peace sakes and the visual amenity? And they even ruled that out. They're not exploring undergrounding. Let's be honest, that's just been kicked to touch until after the election. The same as the planning guidelines for the wind farms, that's been kicked to touch until after the elections. The truth of the matter is that I was reading the Indo, I think it was on Monday, I have it here, where the government announced that they're going to commission the National Economic and Social Council, NESC, wait for it, to conduct a study and consultants report into why communities for the last 3 years, just listen to them for half an hour, you'll know why. They're not daft, they're not misinformed, because we know this. We know that this is a developer-led project to make a small number of people wealthy at the expense of our tourism, our landscape, our visual amenity, our agri-food sector. I've met with all the wind farm companies and I heard them out. And initially I'm going, how can I go back and oppose a project that will bring 66,000 jobs to the Midlands and build a turbine factory in Laois? But of course that was all you know what. So the thing is that they're not to be trusted, they can't be trusted, and the reality is that at best there would be a few hundred jobs initially in the installation of these turbines. And that would be the end of it. But they're trying to buy off communities and buy off councils and GA clubs with promises of community dividend. This has been the most divisive issue I have ever encountered. Families have fallen out. Neighbours have fallen out. All for nothing. It need not have been that way. Because they're going around in the dark of night, signing contracts with people behind their families' backs and telling us that's consultation. There has been no consultation. That is the reality. That does not constitute consultation. They have misled us, they have duped us, and the plan is to put not hundreds, but thousands of turbines and the attendant air grid structure. The taxpayer is going to subsidise the wind industry 3 times, including building a 4 billion network to facilitate wind farms in Mayo for energy, so-called, for the UK. Now, I have no problem exporting stuff. We export a lot of stuff, and the UK is a fabulous market. But this is a ruse. You cannot guarantee a few developers a 20-year fixed price for a product that no one wants to buy. We're being walked up the garden path, we're being sold a pup, and as Henry says, and I'll finish on this, it's amazing to me how you can say it's carbon friendly to fill the bogs of Mayo and the Midlands with mass concrete. How is that carbon friendly? I'll finish up by saying that we are not going to let this go. We are well informed, we do know what we're talking about, and we have the bit between our teeth, we have them on the run,